Welcome to the podcast She is Fab, where we discuss all things fab, women empowerment, and life coaching. My name is Evelyn, also known as the Fab Chieftess, and I am a mindset transformation coach. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Amanda Ferrat. She's an intuitive, compassionate, and empathetic certified emotional wellness counselor and EFT practitioner, and is also known as the badass of holding compassionate space. Amanda works with women wanting to get back in the driver's seat of their lives in regards to their emotions, grief, or mindset so that they may live life as the badass that they are meant to be. She's also mom to an Akita. Yay, I love pets. And a Ludo, a kitten named as, oh, no, the Akita is named Ludo.
Yes.
The kitten is named Esme.
Yes.
And she has a gift for collecting craft supplies more than using them. Girl, I'm with you on that last one.
Yes.
I hoard craft supplies. Welcome.
Yes, thank you for having me. Yeah, I actually moved my desk so that I wasn't showing off my collection of craft supplies anymore in the background.
Love it. I can already tell it's going to be like a really awesome conversation with that little intro piece there. So Amanda, tell us more about you. Tell us what got you on this path, why you became a coach and do what you do.
Well, I kind of has always been, that friend that people would come to for advice and all those kinds of things. But I loved animals. So, I started off college as a bio major thinking I would be a veterinarian. And then I realized that definitely wasn't for me. So after trying on a couple different majors, I landed in family science. Then I started my professional career doing various either family-based or other kind of community services, and then a lot of mental health work and community-based work and social services, which eventually led to grad school and trying to get my master's of social work. And that's when life stepped in and said, we've got other plans for you. And I started to experience a great number of losses in a short period of time. And after each loss, I would go right back to grad school. So I wasn't taking good care of myself. I wasn't, emotionally or mentally giving myself the time and space and care I needed to deal with those losses, to honor my grief, honor the other emotions that come with grief. And even though I was doing everything right physically, like I was working out and I was eating right and I was, getting fairly good sleep and doing these other things, mentally and emotionally, I wasn't taking good care of myself. And so life imploded January of 2018. And it kind of started at grad school. And I just realized I was not in the capacity of holding space for other people and taking care of other people and doing those things anymore. And I needed to step back. So I took a break from grad school. And the more I thought about it, it needed to become a permanent break. And I'm actually a very proud grad school dropout because I am now on the most amazing path that I totally feel aligned with. And how I got there was in that healing journey, things got really dark. I actually was not leaving my house. I wasn't, social relationships were kind of falling apart for various reasons. And I felt my body deteriorating because even though I was doing certain things to take care of myself, if we don't honor our emotions and we hold on to those things, our body keeps the score, literally. I mean, there's books about it. There's research about it, that our body holds on to that emotional stuff and it manifests physically. So I finally was like, all right, I'm on my way to turning 40. I need to fix this. Like, I know better. I've worked in mental health. Like, I need to turn this around. So found a therapist and decided I was getting myself. I did a ton of research and realized that with how my mental health was going and my physical health was going, that according to the Americans with Disabilities Act, I qualified as disabled. And so I got myself a puppy that I was going to train as my service dog. So Ludo, who you mentioned, started as a service dog in training. And that got me out in public and it kind of got me back into doing things. And because I had the safety of having him with me. But having a puppy also gets you a lot of attention and people don't know the rules around service animals. So that was kind of a double-edged sword. But then lo and behold, he is also disabled. So he had to retire as a service dog. And so now he's my emotional support animal. I'm sure he's pouting on the other side of the door behind me. And, I started to just kind of get back into life, and the losses continued. In fact, summer of 2019, a friend of mine who was actually my best friend's brother-in-law died by suicide. And I came home to kind of help her family cope and deal and be there for the memorial, because I'd known him from high school through college and on. And during all of this, I found myself making meals and taking care and doing all the things I could do to support my friend and her family. And I got home after being in Montana for almost 6-7 weeks. And I was like, all right, I've been told multiple times that I'm really good at dealing with really difficult emotions and situations, especially grief. I'm obviously ready to get back out in the world, right? I'm not hiding away anymore. How do I turn this into something? And so I sat down with a friend of mine that's a business coach. She's got a great business called The Business Bitch. And yeah. And she's got a podcast too, but she helped me kind of like flush out what I wanted to do and set me off. And so my first business was Value Yourself Coaching. And then right as I got out there and started networking and getting ready to launch, COVID hit. And I was just like, okay, everybody's grieving, yet nobody's knocking down my door. I'm going to just keep learning. I'm going to keep healing. I'm going to keep working on me. And so signed up for all the things I could sign up for. And then I found EFT Tapping. And the first time I ever tapped, it was following along with Jackie McDonald on a live on Facebook. And the tears started pouring immediately. It was literally like a weight had been lifted off my shoulder, even though I had done healing work for years. And I was like, what is this magic? I need it in my life for my own healing. And this is what I want to do with clients. So sure enough, Jackie soon after launched or opened her training. And I was like, here's my credit card number. Sign me up. I'm in. And then I also found the emotional wellness counseling certification program at eCornell. And I was like, okay, let's do that to refresh everything I learned in grad school. Because I, paid a pretty chunk of money for that half a master's. And so, but I'd left in trauma. So of course, trauma brain likes to hide everything away, even the good stuff. So did my counseling certification, did my EFT basic certification. And here I am. I'm now paying it forward and helping other women heal and grow and change perspectives, learn how to be the master of their emotions so that they can have that freedom to respond instead of react and to be in control. Because when you've got that power back, then you get to like set boundaries and do all these things and say, yes, this is okay. And no, this isn't. And this is who I am. And this is how I'm going to live. And it's been really freeing for me because now I feel like I'm living completely authentically. In fact, I was joking with you when we came on. I'm like, sorry, I'm all wet today, but I was doing the good self-care. I was out in the hot tub in the sunshine. So I just help women get to that place where they can like unapologetically be themselves and do so in a way that really honors their values and their needs.
That is so important. And you made a good point there. I feel like, with coaches, the best coaches are those that have gone through what they're actually trying to help others with. You obviously are more than a coach because you've gone to school, not just a certification based on a topic, but you actually have a background in what you're helping women with as well when it comes to mental health issues, which gives you more authority and more credibility. But even early on, before you became a coach, you realized that going to school for your master's wasn't in alignment with you. And you made that pivot, even with everything that was happening in your life. So that's amazing. Kudos to you.
Thank you.
But I want to ask, tell me more about EFT, because that was like an aha moment for you.
So EFT, it stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. and it literally gives you freedom. And Jackie McDonald, who I trained under, she likes to say that emotional freedom equals financial freedom. And her method is phenomenal because it takes basic EFT. So basic EFT is a combination of Western and Eastern practices. So the Eastern practices are that you are tapping on acupressure meridians on your body, and those points on your body correspond to various things. But what it really does is it calms the sympathetic nervous system, which likes to pump all our stress hormones, the limbic system, which regulates our emotions, and then the amygdala, which is responsible for fight, flight, or freeze in the brain. So when all those things get calmed down, we can access more parts of our brain, including our subconscious, so we can make decisions with more authority and clarity. We can go in and access old memories, traumas, thought patterns, beliefs, and do the reworking of perspective, shifting emotions, some healing around those things. And then Jackie's method, we also go forward and do future visualizations and future work. So we can go back and do past work. We can work on present emotional states, and we can go forward and work on future visioning and future self, which I absolutely love because it goes beyond just typical clinical EFT and does past, present, and future, which is so beautiful.
Oh. Sounds like I need to look into EFT because I feel like it's calling to me. You know, as coaches, one of the things that we have to do is keep on trend, right? Keep learning, keep developing. Anything in life, actually, is you want to keep learning, keep developing. But with coaching, one of the great parts of, you know, having this podcast and talking to fellow coaches when they're on is learning their experience and the methods they use or their area of expertise, which could inspire me to seek additional education or add something new to my bucket, which you just did.
Yeah, and tapping's great. There's people that use it as a daily practice. There's people that do it, you know, with apps or other things. But the benefit to using a practitioner, like if you've never, this is kind of the analogy I give. If you've never gone to the gym, but you have a goal of like building muscle mass and getting healthier, and you walk into the gym and you don't know how to use any of the equipment, but you've read a couple, you know, tutorials or watched a YouTube video, that's great. But you might hurt yourself or you might not get the results you want. So same thing with EFT tapping. The benefit to tapping with a practitioner is I can go in and dig in deeper. I can ask questions. I can reflect your language back to you, which is this amazing thing that happens in the brain when your language is mirrored back to you. And then if something comes up, right, if the subconscious typically only brings up what it's ready to work on, but you might not be ready to work on it, or you might not be in the space to work on it because you might have been like, no, I took that away for a reason. And the beautiful thing about the McDonald manifestation method is we're trained in how to help you put that away so that you are never left feeling open, raw, vulnerable, re-traumatized at the end of a session. That you can walk away from the end of the session feeling like it was worthwhile, you're safe, and you're good until we can meet again. And we just get in there and dig a lot deeper, and we can do things that a YouTube tutorial or other things can't do. Not that they aren't still of value. It's just, it's how deep do you want to go?
Exactly. You know, that is a good point that you brought up regarding EFT and the process, right? You're digging deep. You're able to pull out whether it's past, present, and, you know, plan for the future. But there was something you said that kind of resonated with me. You talked about bringing things out and not being able, or the individual not being able to want that to be out or even acknowledge that it's out. But that's one step of it. You also take it further and you help them to put it back in its place, or sort of close the door on it so they're not keeping with that trauma. That's important. Most times people just bring it out and then it's like, oh, it's out and let's see what we can do with it.
Right. And so we put it away safely in that moment, and then we try to bring it back again later if you're ready. And we bring it back in a way, like we are trained in practices to bring it out and bring it out in a way that's really safe and like allows you to kind of take baby steps into working through whatever that was that the subconscious brought up. So our goal is always, always, always to keep our clients safe. We never want to re-traumatize or do harm, especially me. Like my big umbrella that I operate under is harm reduction. Like I'm out there to heal and help people grow. I am not out there to just be like, no, let's go ahead and dig into that, whether you want to or not. Like, let's rip that Band-Aid off. Let's get in there.
No, that's important. You want to make sure that the client is one ready, and then once they're ready, that they're able to actually work through the steps that you have devised to go through the process and help that healing.
Right.
But also as a coach, your whole mantra should be, if it isn't, I know my mantra is do no harm, right? We don't want to take someone on just because we want a client. And then as you're working with the client, you want to make sure that what you're doing is beneficial for them and isn't harming them in any way.
Right. Well, and that's why I have people apply to work with me. I don't just let people buy packages and sign up. You have to apply to work with me because I want to know that we're the right fit for each other. Because we can't get time back. Time is a resource that doesn't come back. And I don't want to waste your time at all. Like, I want you to be with the best practitioner possible. And if I'm not the best practitioner, then I'm going to find you a better practitioner. Because if I'm not it, that's okay. I'm not going to take that personal, right? I want you to get the best quality of care that you can get. And there is a full range of EFT practitioners out there. We all have our niches. We all have kind of what we specialize in and what we're good at. And I'm good at digging deep really fast. In fact, I have a tendency to make people cry and not even know what's happening before the tears are falling. And I say that as in a good cry. Like, they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize this was what was really going on. Holy cow. How did you, like, in 5 minutes, you've created this beautiful, sacred, safe container and held up this mirror and had me realize. And they're just like, watching them go through this transformation right before my eyes is always so amazing and so powerful. And just to get to watch them be like, oh, I didn't realize that A connected to B, which goes back to when I was 4 years old, and C happened. And then, it's just this way of getting in there and pulling the threads out and getting to work on shifting our emotions and our perspectives around them so that people can feel whole and feel renewed and have, like the name says, right, this emotional freedom to kind of continue on life in a way that feels way more aligned and comfortable and safe, which is such a beautiful thing.
For those of you guys that are listening or watching, go ahead and rewind that and listen to what she said once again. That's important from the aspect of what she's doing to help others, but also from the coaching perspective of knowing, what you can offer, how you can offer it, and doing no harm.
Right.
So Amanda, tell us about your program. First of all, I'm sure that it's founded in EFT. But is there anything else that you incorporate in your program?
Yeah, because I am, because I did invest what I did invest in my master's, even though I didn't finish it. I was trained in certain therapeutic modalities, and those were reinforced and kind of reiterated in my emotional counseling certification, or my wellness counseling certification, I should say. And I bring those in as necessary. So it helps me know what questions to ask when I'm doing EFT. But if people are afraid of tapping, because I get it, there are people out there that are skeptical, that feel it is a little woo, but there's a ton of science behind it. In fact, there's a book called The Science Behind Tapping by Dr. Peta Stapleton, if anybody needs the science. But I can incorporate those kind of practices in. So somebody asked me on another cat podcast, like, do you give your clients homework? If I do, it's not going to be tapping. If I do, it's going to be journaling or creating rites and rituals if it's around grief or those kinds of things, or doing other kind of emotional wellness work that we can then bring back into the tapping. I work very intuitively. I like to meet people where they're at, because one week, things might be up, and then the next week something might trigger or come up, or especially in working with grief, right? There might be a death anniversary or a birthday or another date that triggers things. So I just work really intuitively. And the beauty of that is I've actually gotten to kind of quote unquote graduate clients early, because they're doing the homework I would have assigned before I even assign it, because it just works. And I'm like, oh, look at, they're ready to go. Like, they're good to go, and they don't even know they're good to go. Like, they're already doing what I would have asked them to do next week or 2 weeks from now, but they're ahead of the game, and that's been really cool to see, because I want to work myself out of a job. I want to be I want to be out of a job because I want people to be healed or feel like they have gotten what they needed and grown. And even though I mean, I hate saying healed because we're never done healing. We're never done growing. But I want them to feel like they're to a point where they're like, okay, I've got this. I can do this now. I'm okay on my own. And I want the world to have the tools and the coping skills and all the things in their toolboxes so that I work myself out of a job. I really do. And people are like, are you crazy? And I'm like, no. Why shouldn't I want to work myself out of a job? Like, why shouldn't I want the world to be an emotionally well, stable, and like able to cope place? Because the reality is we aren't. There are daily stressors for our nervous systems and daily things that drag up and bring up difficult emotions. So the reality is I'm going to be employable for quite some time, but my end goal is to be that I'm not needed.
Right. We don't want to create some sort of codependency where the individual feels like they need you for an indefinite amount of time. And then we as coaches, there is an end result we're looking to achieve to help you with, right? So we do whatever we need to do to the right way, healthy way, to get you there and then release you and have you move on to the next phase of your life or next phase of what you're going through. So that is a great message there.
Well, and even with just one individual. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, hon. Finish your thought.
Well, I was just going to say, and not even with just one individual client, right? Like, I want to work myself out of a job completely because I want the entire world to be good to go, right? And for us to all have all the tools we need in our toolbox. Yes, obviously, with each individual client, I want there to be a set like time that they get booted out of the nest because they're good to go. But ultimately, I would like the world to be a healthy enough place that I need to go find something else to do.
In a perfect world, yes, right? Everything would be great. We'd have no trauma, no emotional issues, and maybe even be perfect. Who knows?
Big wishful thinking. That's my big dream.
But hey, every person you touch is a movement in the right direction, right? We're creating a ripple effect that will spread outwards. So you have this nickname of being the badass, of holding a compassionate space. How'd you get that nickname?
Well, it came from, I was in a program with another coach, Jaya Rose, and she does what's called your innate magic name. And I am really good at sitting with people in really hard emotions. I don't qualify emotions as positive or negative, good or bad. There are some that are more challenging or more difficult or darker, maybe. And I can sit with those emotions or people experiencing those emotions really well and just hold beautiful, safe, and sacred space in those moments. And so as we were doing this activity, Jaya and I were kind of talking about things, and there was like a worksheet she had us do. And Jaya is also very intuitive. And then all of a sudden, we'd workshopped a couple, and none of them were landing. And then she's like, "What about the badass of holding compassionate space?" Or it's something very similar to that. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's it! Yes!" Like, I got goosebumps and like full body chills and electricity. And I was like, "That is it."
It suits you. I mean, based on what I know, the little that I know of you and what you've shared with us today, yeah, I would say it fits. Not everyone's able to deal with, deep emotion or deep trauma. So yeah, it makes sense.
And it's fun to say.
So tell me about, we were talking about your program for a little bit, but is there a framework that you work with or that your program is based on? I know you have the foundation in EFT and you have the foundation from your education with your certification as well as your college education.
Oh, you cut out there for a second.
So tell me about the your program a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah. So technology, right? Blessing and a curse. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I basically have the first step is applying to work with me. And then if I feel like we're a good fit, we chat about, is somebody wanting just tapping, or is somebody wanting, just counseling because they aren't sure about the tapping, or are they willing to kind of just let me intuitively see where each session goes? And then I sell packages of time. And so it's always a 90-minute intake session so that we can kind of get to know each other and establish what that's going to look like. And then from there, people kind of decide, this week's an easy week. I'm doing all right. I only need 45 minutes. Or, you know what, or we've got big trauma to work through, right? Deeper things. And then they can schedule either 60 or 90-minute sessions. So they kind of get to decide how much time they want to purchase and then use that time as they see fit.
Gotcha. And then is there a minimum recommendation you have for sessions?
I do have a small package, which kind of equals out to 3 90-minute sessions. And people are more than welcome to buy a single session. I would be happy to do that with folks for like an acute issue. Like, hey, I just want to tap on this one thing. And I think all I'll need is 90 minutes. But my bigger packages that have, I think that my smallest one is 270 minutes. Those come at a more discounted rate. So you get a better deal buying the minimum packages. And the reason I have the minimum is the 270 minutes is because we kind of say in the tapping world that a minimum of 3 90-minute sessions is what people should aim for. Because again, when you start to dig in and do some of that deeper work, you don't ever know what the subconscious is going to bring forward.
That's true. And then what about your discovery session? How long do you hold that for? And is there anything that you provide that can prepare them for that conversation?
Yeah. So the application to work with me has several questions on it that kind of start to dig in to what they're wanting to work on, how they're wanting to feel at the end of working with me, how they're feeling now, what they've tried, what's worked, whether or not they've ever done tapping or therapy before. Kind of gets all that stuff out of the way so that we can then, in that half an hour call of setting up services, it's mostly, okay, these are the days and times that typically work. These are my policies. Here's my contract, get those kind of little logistics out of the way so that that first 90-minute session is truly doing the work.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for sharing that. For those of you listening, whether you're an aspiring coach or looking to work with a coach, you got a little bit of tidbits there on how that process goes. So I'm curious, in your program, do you make any reference to your nickname, the badass of holding compassionate space? I feel like you should have a program with that title.
Well, I actually have a Facebook group, and it's called Badass Women Breaking Barriers. And it's for women identifying folks. Sorry, not sorry, men. You have enough space in the world. But it's a group where women can come in and be 100% themselves 100% of the time. And we can, commiserate on the boundaries that we have to break through as women, the barriers that we face, or what it means for us to set boundaries, right, as women, because we often get a lot of pushback when we set boundaries. We can celebrate our successes. We can commiserate around our struggles and support each other. I do tapping in the group. It's fairly new. It's about a month in. So I'm still kind of figuring out what kind of juicy goodness I want to all give in there. But it's a great space where, it's what I call a braver space where women can feel comfortable to be 100% themselves 100% of the time.
That's great. Guys, obviously we're going to put all the information on how to connect with Amanda follow, subscribe, website, book her, all of that. But definitely check out that Facebook group. I'm all about women empowerment, connecting with my sisters. And when you find a space of support like that, where you can be authentic and genuine, it is so beneficial.
Right. And over the next couple months, what we're going to really be focusing on, or what I'd like to focus on, is unpacking personas. So we as women often have to either be the good girl, the superwoman, the super mom, all those kinds of personas, right? That society thinks that we as women should live out. And we're going to unpack some of that and get rid of some of those beliefs and work on stepping into our authentic badass selves.
I love that. I'm going to go check out this group myself.
Yes, please do.
Because no, you're right. As women, there's the norms that were established in our upbringing and culture. There's societal norms, and there are gender norms. There's so many roles that we're expected to play, and some of us, can be unhappy, overwhelmed, stressed, frustrated, not realizing that maybe it's because the roles that we play are not in alignment with who we want to be and who we should be authentically. So right. I love that idea, that interaction.
Yeah, I'm excited to unpack it, and I'm hoping it'll all kind of culminate. I'm looking at having a retreat in June called Becoming Your Badass Goddess Self. So that's in the works.
That sounds amazing. So see, guys, you have to go follow her and keep following her to find out the juicy details of what's to come.
Yes.
I love retreats. Was that inspired by anything? Did somebody put that thought in your head, or did you always know you wanted to do a retreat?
So I'm giggling because it actually came from my astrology reading this year. So I have my chart done every year. I started last year. Because I have a good friend who's an amazing intuitive astrologer. And so we were kind of going through the calendar this year, and June is a really good month for me to have gatherings or groups or bring people together. And so in June, there is Beltane, or summer solstice, and that's just a few days before the full moon. So it's going to be right around there that we're going to embrace all the magic of that time of year and have a great, great time unpacking all of our baggage around who we thought we had to be all these years and becoming our true, authentic, badass goddess selves.
I love it. It sounds exciting. Women out there who are listening, sorry, men, we're excluding you on this one, but ladies, take advantage of the resources that you have out there, joining these groups that offer these support systems, because you never know, one, how you'll be impacted, how you can benefit, and what connections you can make. Something like this Facebook group that Amanda has about empowerment, channeling your inner badass, being a goddess. On top of that, a retreat to come. Dude, can you imagine the juiciness and development you'll have?
That's what I'm hoping for.
I'm sure it's going to be an amazing success. And again, guys, if you're listening and not watching, go to YouTube. I feel like when you can see us talking, you can feel the energy and the vibe. Amanda has a great energy.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anything else that you are, have under wraps that you're planning to put out there at some point?
I kind of let things organically unfold. I'm going away to the beach for a week in April, and I'm hoping that the universe will provide me with some good creative downloads while I'm enjoying the waves. And we'll see what comes from that, because I will be finishing up the advanced EFT training at the end of April, beginning of May. So in May, I'll kind of be relaunching and opening up more spots for clients. So we'll see. I'm hoping that my week at the beach will bring me some magic that I get to share with the world.
Yes, you get to have some fun in the sun, do some more swimming, rejuvenate, and come back raring to go. Guys, she said she's opening some spots. So if you're looking to work with her after you do a little bit of social media stalking, jump on it because they'll fill up fast.
That's the hope. Yes. Yes.
So Amanda, anything else you... Of course, I'm sure that will be the case. We're putting out positive vibes out there that we're going to be booked for a long time to come.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we covered all the bases. I can't think of anything else. They know that I got Ludo and Esme. They know where to find, I think I've told the world all my good juicy stuff.
I'm trying to pull out of her. I'm like, what else do you have? I know you got something good that you're keeping from me. So we talked about your program for a little bit, right? And what you offer there. Is there anything else about your program you want to let the audience know?
Not that I can think of. I mean, if you are struggling with that, emotional overwhelm, or even I don't even know how I feel today, right? If you find yourself I don't even know how I'm feeling. I don't even know what these emotions are or what to do with them. Or if you find yourself man, I am really grieving and I don't know what to do with this grief. Or if you find yourself with these thought patterns and beliefs that you just can't seem to shake, that's when you come find me, because those are the things that I love to help women with.
You guys heard it here. If you need help with any of that, with any deep emotion, Amanda can help you through it, because she is the badass of holding compassionate space. Yes, Amanda, thank you so much for, coming on the podcast and sharing, your expertise, talking about your program, educating us on EFT, because even for me, that was a newer concept, which I'll be looking up after this.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been great to be here and chat with you. Yes.
You're welcome. I am glad to have you. But before I let you go, any last thoughts, any message that you want to put out there for the audience?
I think, you call yourself the Fab Chieftess. I'm the badass of holding compassionate spaces. And I just want people to know that you can have those titles and still have these moments where you're not okay. And it's okay to not be okay, because we all have our moments where we struggle. And don't be ashamed or afraid to be vulnerable and reach out for help, because that vulnerability truly is strength amplified. And I just want everybody to know that, you're not alone. Reach out for that support, and we've got you.
Yes. Thank you for that message. Someone out there needs to hear that. Just because we're coaches doesn't mean that we don't go through it ourselves. We're human as well.
Yes.
All right, guys, that is a wrap. Remember, we're going to put all the details for how to contact Amanda, how to follow her, keep following her, join her Facebook group. Definitely keep track for that retreat that is coming in June. And as usual, like I always say, preparation, accountability, execution, and resolve are keys to your success. Until next time.